Here I have a piece of goat willow and simple drawings of this owl I'm about to carve. The piece of wood is quite a lot longer than the drawings to make holding on to it easier and to give it a little more room for error. The first step of this process is creating a rough outline. I'm starting by slimming down and rounding out one end where the head is going to be, and creating a separation between the other end of the body and the rest of the wood. Like I said, we don't want to cut off all of the excess right away, because then the carving becomes more difficult. I started with big and forceful cuts, but when the wanted shape starts to appear, the cuts turn quite gentle and shallow. Now that I'm getting closer, I want to draw a rough outline on the wood to make sure that my whittling matches the idea I have about the shape. Right now the owl is sitting in an unnaturally upright position, and I can see from the drawing that it needs a smaller head and some forward leaning. Again, I make big cuts first and then more gentle ones. Now, with this small horizontal difference between the back and the head, this piece of wood actually starts to look a little bit like an owl. Then to define the lower body shapes a little better, I'm just slimming down the excess wood a bit. This is now the rough outline. Then we're going to draw two circles like this to help with carving the face. At this point it really helps to have a blade that curves like this, because it naturally creates this inward curve. The face can be flat too if you only have a carving knife with a straight blade, but a curved blade really helps with making very precise cuts. Here I'm flattening the center of the face a bit, and then giving the edges of the face a smoother curve with very small cuts. Then it's time for the beak. The beak appears a little by removing some of the wood on the lower parts of the face, but also with these very tiny stop cuts, where I first define the edge of the beak by pressing down the blade like this, and then cut towards it. Remember to make the first part of the stop cut deep enough, otherwise the blade might not stop where you want it to. I'm also rounding the beak a little like this. That's the face for now. Now you can make adjustments on the head shape if necessary. I felt like the top of the head was slightly too tall and round, so I made it a little flatter to better match my sketch. Next up are the wings. Again, drawing on the wood helps a lot, especially with these kinds of things where symmetry is needed on the opposite sides of the figure that are hard to keep an eye on while carving one side. After drawing, you can just make nice little sweeping cuts away from the edges that were drawn. Some rounding of the wing like this is needed too. Here I'm just making some final adjustments to the shape of the wings. After that, some feathers are a really nice touch. A curved blade helps here too, because it allows you to make narrower but deeper and rounder cuts. How this part works is the tail and the lower parts of the wings should have bigger and longer feathers. The next layer of feathers on the wings is wide but short, and then we get to the small feathers that cover all the rest, except for the face, even though that too can have some texture and doesn't need to be perfectly smooth. Then for the finishing touch, the eyes. The soft wood and the small size of the figure allows for just pressing in the eyes, which is an easy way to make them. For that, I made the stick with one sharp edge and one slightly blunter edge that matches the eye size I want. I marked the spot with the sharp edge and made the eyes with the blunt end by pressing and twisting. At this point, the only thing remaining is removing the excess wood or carving it to be the stand for the owl. I'm making a separate branch for the owl to sit on, which means carving a curve that matches the branch, flattening the bottom of the branch and gluing the two pieces together.